There is something about a man's bald head that is just off-putting, gross, untrustworthy, and just downright disgusting on an instinctual level, on a primal level. I was out of the house yesterday and I was just walking in the neighborhood. There was a little kid with his mom walking in the opposite direction as I was. And as they were walking past me, the woman kind of used her arm to kind of push her son out of the way, further away from me. I mean, they actually stepped completely off of the sidewalk because as they were coming, I moved over so I was just on the far right edge of the sidewalk so that they would have enough room to pass. But this woman, she grabbed her kid who was on the side of her closer to me, and she kind of pushed him to the opposite side so that she would be between me and the kid. And then she also kind of grabbed the kid, and then her and the kid stepped completely off of the sidewalk into the road to get that far away from me, just to create that much distance between themselves and me, the scary bald man. And you know, it just got me thinking how being a bald cell, it's not just all about how being bald makes you ugly, because that's not the whole case, because there are some people with a good looking face and a normally shaped head that, you know, they go bald and they're not necessarily ugly. They still could be average or above average looking, but there's just something about, you know, bald equals bad in people's heads. And I think it's just on a very instinctual level that all humans associate baldness with just criminality and untrustworthiness. Look at television and movies. The bad guy in movies is always bald. And these are guys, the actors, you know, that they actually have Hollywood level good looks, but they're still bald. So even with their 9 out of 10 face, there's something about them that they just don't look like a good guy. You know, if you're bald, the best you can hope for, even if you are looks maxed to the freaking moon and back, the best you can hope for is to be a niche maxed bad boy. You can never have that classic all-American, all-around appeal of a guy that is just so attractive across the board to every kind of woman. I mean, that just isn't the reality for bald men. Bald is scary. Bald is mean. Bald is bad. So even if you've got like hunter eyes and a perfect brow ridge and good forward growth or whatever the hell looks maxers talk about, all you can ever be as a bald man is niche maxed, specifically as a bad boy. You can't even choose the type of niche maxing you're doing. No, you can only kind of, you know, thug max or niche max as a bad boy. And going back to movies, you know, it's very rare for the good guy in a movie, the protagonist, to be bald. Sure, we had a good run in the 90s and early 2000s with Bruce Willis and Jason Statham, but that's really about it. You know, you go further back in cinematic history and no bald heroes. Go further into the future. Again, no bald heroes. For some reason, we had a flash in the pan with Bruce Willis and Jason Statham, but I'd be willing to bet that's probably just because of some bald, ugly Hollywood executive back then that had the sway to get some bald guys in hero roles in movies, but who knows? But it's actually kind of interesting if you think about it, because Bruce Willis and Jason Statham, even when they play the hero of the movie, they're always playing a kind of edgy, moral gray area type hero, almost more like an anti-hero or something. So even as the hero of the film, even as the protagonist, a highly attractive bald male actor is still forced into the niche-maxed bad boy role. They never can play just a regular hero, like a regular protagonist. I mean, watch Die Hard or, I don't know, like any Jason Statham movie, right? They might be the protagonist, but they're not necessarily a good guy. They're still kind of a bad guy, even as the protagonist. And the reason they fit those roles perfectly is because they're bald, and bald equals bad. It's because everybody knows that a bald man, no matter how perfect his face is, a bald man can never appear as trustworthy. You cannot trust a bald man. And I don't mean that as in you shouldn't trust a bald man, because there are bald men that actually, are capable of being trusted. They're worthy of your trust, but you instinctually, as a human, you and I both, instinctually, we cannot trust a strange bald man. There is just something gross and demonic about baldness, and it's something that we all feel on an instinctual, primal level. I don't know what it is. It could be that maybe we evolved over time to fear bald men because they tend to have higher testosterone or something, since that's what causes baldness. So bald men actually are more dangerous. So we evolved with the instinct to detect that danger. Or maybe it's like a chicken or the egg situation. So maybe throughout ancient history, bald men have always been treated like subhumans by all of society. So they end up shunning the norms and mores of society and turning toward criminality. And it's just like a self-perpetuating feedback loop where society shits on bald men out of some primal sense of fear. Then bald men lash out at society due to being treated poorly. Then society learns to rightfully be afraid of the dangerous bald man, and so on and so on. The cycle continues. Even me as a bald man myself, and I'm not new to this, I'm 35 years old, and my hair was noticeably thinning as early as 20 years of age. You could say I've been bald since my early 20s. You could safely say that. Even me, as a longtime bald man, I find myself on extra alert around unknown bald men. And it's weird because I even grew up with a bald dad, and for the most part, he's always been good to me. He never treated me bad. So you'd think I would have internalized that as my childhood experience with the bald man being my caretaker, but nope. If a strange bald man is walking past my car when I'm sitting in it, I'm locking the door. If I had a kid and I was walking down the sidewalk with my kid, and coming the opposite direction on the sidewalk is some random bald man I've never met in my life, I might also step into the street to create as much distance as possible between this strange bald man and my child, because, hey, he's a bald man. Of course I'm going to think he's a dangerous psychopath criminal. Of course, he's freaking bald. That's what you think of bald men. I don't know if they've ever done this, but you could do an experiment with like apes, do like an experiment with chimps and show them a bald man, then show them a man with a healthy full head of hair and see how they react. I bet the chimps will act all friendly and neutral toward the man with a full head of hair, but when you put a bald man in front of a chimp, I bet they go absolutely ape. You know what I'm saying? I bet they go absolutely just get aggressive as a chimp can get. They don't even need to do the experiment though, because we all know, and a lot of people are lying to themselves, but we all know deep down, there is something about baldness that we associate with criminality. We associate with untrustworthiness. We associate with just, the dark underbelly of society. It's just instinct. It's ingrained in all of us. I find myself feeling a bit of fear and just feeling a bit on edge around other bald men. And when I catch myself feeling that way, it's just like, what the hell am I doing? I'm being unfair here. I'm bald, and I know that I'm not a dangerous person, yet here I am, and I just can't help but to judge other bald men unfairly. Nobody can refrain from doing it. I'm a bald man myself, and I can't not do it. It is instinct. It is primal. It is within all of us. It is within all of humanity. Bald is bad. Jehovah mixed that fear in with the dirt that he used to create Adam. Then he planted the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in that same dirt, and here we are now. We all know bald is bad, instinctual, primal. How could I ever expect a woman to be attracted to me? How could a woman ever trust me? Even if a woman was attracted to me, how could she trust me? How could a woman ever trust me? I'm bald. I'm untrustworthy on a primal level. I can't even trust a bald man, and I'm bald. I know we aren't like 100% slave to our instincts. Like, my dad is bald and I actually can trust him, but I've been around him my entire life. You know, full head of hair, all-American Chadwick McCrewcut could walk right through Stacy's front door unannounced and just be like, whoops, must have walked into the wrong house. And Stacy will just laugh, ah, ha, ha, oh, you silly, handsome stranger. Because Chad has a full head of hair. He is the archetype of the good guy. Stacy can trust Chad right off the bat. She knows he's trustworthy. He looks like every hero she's ever seen, smelled, tasted, or heard of before. But me? A bald man? If I had an actual reason to be at Stacy's house, like I'm delivering a package or whatever, or I'm some kind of worker that has made an appointment to come to her house and she knows I'm supposed to be there at the scheduled time, and I just even step foot on Stacy's driveway, she sees my bald ass through the kitchen window and she's already got her phone in her hand ready to dial 911. And it's because I'm bald, and bald equals bad. Bald equals evil. Bald equals criminal. I look like a bad guy. I could never be the good guy. I could never be the hero. At best, all I could hope for is to be a bad guy with some amount of sex appeal. But let's be realistic, that's reserved for bald men with good faces like Bruce Willis or Jeremy Meeks. That's not me. It's just not me. My face is at best a 5, but probably not even that. So it is so over out here for bald cells. It truly is. It's over out here for bald cells. And again, you know, I know a lot of people fear going bald and they just associate baldness with ugliness, but that is not the case. Being ugly isn't even the worst part of being bald. Because honestly, I'd rather have people think I'm ugly than people be afraid of me. That hurts. That hurts to the core. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a criminal. But people associate those things with me just because of my appearance. There's nothing I can do to look like I'm not a criminal. You know, I can dress up like a total nerd and do everything I can to my appearance to make myself look friendly. I can smile all I want, but when I smile, people think it's an evil smirk. People don't associate my smile as being a friendly smile. You know, Chad over here with a full head of hair, he can smile and people are like, what a friendly smile. What a nice, friendly smile. But me, as a bald man, I smile and I'm just baring my teeth, you know? I'm like an aggressive chimp just baring my teeth. I got a mean, evil smile, a smirk. A smirk. It's a creepy, bald smile. It's a creepy, bald, evil smirk. That's what happens when I smile. And it's all because I'm bald, and it's all because it's not even because of society, because it's on an individual level, it's something that is ingrained deeply, embedded within the soul, within the psyche of every single man and woman, child, and animal probably. You know, and speaking of animals, maybe it has something to do with, you know, we're mammals, so we associate hair with being a human because we are the human mammal that has the ability to grow hair. But when you see a bald man, it makes you think of like a reptile or something. You know, you associate his appearance with a snake. And what do we think about reptiles and snakes? Well, they're like the most hated animal. They're the animal most associated with evilness. I mean, go back to the story of the Garden of Eden. Who's the bad guy in that story? A freaking serpent. You want to take any guesses on whether or not the serpent from the Garden of Eden had a full head of hair, or was it a bald serpent? I think you know the answer. I really do wish I had hair. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could ever bring myself to get a hair transplant, but at this point, I really feel like I need to do something. I really do. I'm considering getting a hair piece. I don't know, maybe they call it a hair system these days. I think I've heard the phrase hair system, but it's not a hair transplant, but like a toupee, basically, a toupee. And it sounds, because I've always seen, on TV shows, a toupee is something that it's always the butt of the joke. But then again, that's everything associated with bald men. It's always the butt of the joke. If they're not being portrayed as evil, then they're being portrayed as the butt of the joke. Because, when something's scary and you feel like it's dangerous, you got to make light of the situation. So better to laugh at the bald man than fear him. But yeah, I'm considering getting like a toupee or something. And I wouldn't wear it every day, but just something to definitely at first try it out slowly over time. Maybe, just take a walk around the neighborhood with my toupee on and just see how people react. See what the reaction is. I don't know if I could ever bring myself to wear it around. That's the problem. I don't want someone that knows me to see me wearing a hairpiece. I just feel like that would be, if they know I'm actually bald, they're not going to treat me better seeing me with a hairpiece. A toupee specifically can only work in a beneficial way with people that have never seen me before. Because if you've seen me before and you already know I'm bald, then me in a toupee just makes me look fraudulent and it's just going to be embarrassing. So I don't know, but yeah, it's something I'm thinking about doing something about this because I'm tired of people seeing me as the bad guy, because I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not a dangerous guy. I'm not a criminal. And I don't like being seen that way. I don't like being profiled when I walk down the street. I really don't. And it's really not fair. But at the same time, I can't be mad at people because I understand, it is instinctual inside of all of us. So I understand why they react that way when they see me and my bald head, but I just hate it. I just hate it so much. It sucks. It really sucks. It makes my life 10 times as hard as it needs to be. It really does. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today.